Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 3 of Night Owl Season 18 here from a rather chilly Kyalami track, as finally qualifying has got underway and Ted Edwards takes the flag down for his first lap. Great to be back. We missed round 2. There was no stream last week, but a very, very interesting and scattered race, I would say, Phil.
Yeah, it was interesting. Probably the first two corners, first 3 corners of that race, pretty much big incident. Pretty much involved not the whole field, but I think the whole field saw it, should we say? But yeah, Phil still now with some reports and stuff as we move on to hopefully see less of that sort of incidents at Kyalami. But knowing Kyalami, we may touch wood. I'm hoping we don't, but we may see similar incidents, should we say? I think the first couple of corners, certainly, particularly on lap 1, do encourage that sort of incident occurring, Ryan.
Yeah, they may do. The track widens out, but and then it really starts to bunch back up. A great view looking out there from the top of the hill. It's always a great view at Kyalami. I find even in the night, you know, when you're doing endurance races here, it's great to look out, but you kind of, as a driver, you can't keep your eyes in the distance too long, because you're coming down to, I believe it's Crocodiles, isn't it, this corner, and then one of the most scary corners on the track. Harder if you've got a left-hand drive car, as basically everyone in this GT3 field is. That yellow sausage curb will send you into the wall. Trust me, I've done it plenty of times myself. As Ted Edwards comes up, racing up to the line, what's it going to be as a time? It's a 41.6, a very good start right out of the bat, and behind him, Callum Carrigan. No, that's Tyler Jason Lavalley. Yeah, that was an invalid lap for him. And the first silver is Gomez, 0.8 of a second. But I mean, look at how cold this track is, Phil. 17 degrees. It's for the location we're at. That's practically Arctic conditions here.
It's gonna be interesting to see, because obviously, like I think the prime window for track temperature tends to be between 20 and 30 degrees in ACC. So you are right. This is gonna be. It's too cold to get grip, but I'm actually not really sure how that works off the top of my head. But I know, like, as you say, track temperature, the colder it is, the less grippy it's going to be. Probably be a bit more favourable, these sort of conditions. But pit requirements tonight, for people just to know, we have 2 pit stops for the race, and a tyre change is mandatory. And you think, well, that's just 3 20-minute stints then, but there is some talk of, and I'm speaking to some of the drivers when I'm doing practice, there is some talk, Ryan Mawson, that it could rain tonight.
Yeah, a few clouds in the horizon. Have to see what it kind of is when we finally get into the race session. There's what happens when you clip the curve, as Lavalley has to take avoiding action. Ted stopped in the track, and the Mustang has to get returned back to the pit. We'll have a quick race replay of that. This is exactly what I was on about with this curve. You see, you want to clip this, you want to get earlier on the power, but even the Mustang is it's not a big enough car to clip that curve. You see everyone's starting to avoid a scary moment for sure, and that will be a reset. But yes, it's going to be cold, as he says. If the weather holds out, it might be a case of shut the ducts, kind of accept that the tires are going to fall off a bit.
Sorry?
Shut the ducts. Shut the brake ducts. Yeah.
We got ducks. I thought you said ducks. Yeah, sorry.
For context, we've had duck videos on before we started.
We were sharing duck videos before the start of the stream. That's what we do. We don't talk about technicals. Why don't we talk about technical stuff, Ryan? Or about racing? We want to talk about ducks before the start of the race.
The ducks could be technical. But
technical ducks, yeah.
Technical ducts. You shut the brake ducts, boil the brakes, keep some heat in the tires, and kind of just accept that they're going to fall off a little bit, as he says, with trying to keep some of the heat in. Very, very close qualifying as we still go around. It's Tyler Jason Lavalley who took the lead from his fellow Mustang friend Ted Edwards. Joe Dauber's come in P2 on that in the 777 Mercedes. Now, I remember when the Mercedes was very, very, very strong around Kyalami, but this Mustang, I do have to say, it's proving to be quite formidable around here. As we're coming up to the final corner, it's still going to be quite an improvement for the 35 racing up to the line. If they can keep it, it's hard sometimes to get this grip out of the final corner, and it will be another improvement. We're into the 40s now, 40.2. Do we think there'll be a 39 with 8 minutes to go?
No, maybe there will be, Ryan. I think to be honest, the Ford is quite good on 2 counts. It tends to be quite good with high speed. It's probably one of the fastest in a straight line in the game. And then as well, because you're quite a heavy car with certain suspension settings, you can ride curbs a lot more aggressively than some of these other faster cars, like the McLaren, for instance, or any of the other mid-engine cars. But then again, I think that maybe just because it's a front-engine car, you tend to have front-engine cars are a lot more happier going over curbs than the other cars in the game. That's always been the case for like a couple of years now, hasn't it? Really, but as we see, I think Jordan Bobbins has had the same problem that Ted had. Let's have a look, Ryan. Let's just replay here. We come through. Was this crocodiles? Yeah, crocodiles, and then coming into cheetah. Yeah, just like Ted, Ryan. Borrowed a bit too much curb there, I think.
Yeah, the curb was hit, and it grabs your splitter and just throws you off track. Nothing you can really do about that. While we've been going as well, the 767's taken pole in the silver class, 0.8 of a second off pole as well. So going great guns with that, and Adnan Pasina in the 903 Porsche. But yeah, our only Porsche tonight, which is a kind of ironic considering that Kyalami is the home of Porsche South Africa, I believe, unless it's been bought by someone else. It is the home of Porsche South Africa, and yeah, not doing too well tonight. But Ted Edwards, after having the slight incident with the curb, on his way back up, that's top 10 for the number 8. Still got a few more laps to go. 6 minutes left. You're going to have to start eventually thinking about, you know, how many laps you can have left. Because I don't think in this qualifying session, I don't think the strategy might be to constantly go back to the pits, just because of how long it's going to take these tyres to warm up and, you know, get back up to temperatures. The track's finally tipped to optimum, but there goes the 903 over the curb once again. I think we might be seeing a pattern in this race.
We may see a pattern. I think we're probably going to see people. We're probably going to see that when they're in a train. I'm not sure what's happened there. I think Joe Dorber's probably had a moment of no TC, probably, Ryan, as we come through the. You know, he's just. I'm not really sure. I think if we. I remember if we can get on board with that, because I think that was probably done intentionally into the barrier. So yeah. Bit of messing about there, but yeah, it's going back to your point. Sorry, Ryan. I think it's probably going to be a case that that curb's going to claim a lot more victims at Cheetah, and during the race, it's probably going to be one of those ones where you're in a train of cars and you can't see where that curb is because you're too busy. You know, sometimes you're busy focusing on the car in front of you more than, you know, what's coming up to the track, should we say? So yeah. We'll probably see a few incidents like that as Ted Edwards comes down the final corner. Currently 1.2 seconds off pole time, but recovers there 2 tenths faster. I think he's just slowly getting into it, isn't he, John? Jesse mentioned John in the chat. That's my say for that one. But I think it's one of those ones where you say, like as you say, Ryan, where because it's a cold track, you might as well just go out for a bit longer, and also. I'm not sure about you. I think you mentioned last time. You know, qualifying's not a strong suit of yours. Neither is it mine. I tend to find I don't like doing, you know, 2 laps then pitting in again. I prefer to just drive for the whole session. You get into a rhythm, and you know, you go faster when you're comfortable, wouldn't you? Would you say that's your approach to qualifying as well, Ryan, or not?
Yeah, I usually just take the car out and keep running around. A lot of people will, you know, they will keep resetting because they can find that few temps right on the edge but I've never seemed to had that, not as a driver personally. Getting into the end of qualifying, things are really starting to shake up now. It's Ashbury in the 767 still in the pole, but Callum Kerrigan, who was in our chat earlier, saying that he is slow and that the first stage is acceptance of this at this track. Well, you can't really be doing too bad. And P2 of silver, and only 9/10 off the overall pole, is still very, very good. Mike Reinhardt comes across, improvement for them, and here comes Callum Kerrigan once again in the very, very pink McLaren. Sadly, it will be an invalid lap this time around. It could have been an improvement if the time had been not been invalidated. It was looking good right to the end. We've still got a yellow flag, a cheater, and there in the background is the McLaren
awesome.
pointing very much the wrong way. So it's and here comes Miguel Martins. It's going to be a big jump for Miguel Martins. Up into P3 in the Audi, in the duck car, as Jesse Lee is pointing out. It's a great livery, that one, we have to admit. But I remember doing a endurance race in the Audi. That car is not easy to drive around here, so credit to Miguel Martins for managing to push that around. But I'm wondering, what can his fellow Audi friend do?
Audi, what are you talking about?
Oh yes, of course. No, I've forgotten the joke already. It's clearly this is a Mitsubishi. This is a Mitsubishi. Yes, it's an Eclipse. For people who remember what Fast and Furious was, because we that's another talk we were having just before the stream, is that there are some people who have never seen the Fast and Furious franchise. Shocker, I know, and it's like when you've especially going back to the original one, you know, you look back at it and go, God, times have changed in a lot of things.
Imagine stealing DVD players as a crime syndicate now.
Oh, gotta have that DVD player. Not even Blu-ray, and not even HD DVD. It was just a DVD.
Just normal DVD.
It was just normal DVD.
Yeah, but you need that commentary track, don't you now, so you can listen to the track to talk about it. Jesse's trying to join in the conversation. So listening to Jesse and
yeah. Well, Jesse's got a point. I mean, widescreen was quite a thing, and while we've been wondering, Eric De Jong's taken provisional pole 142.17, just about pipping out Lavallee. Ted Edwards has finally found his groove, but he needed in the Mustang up into P3, half a second off. But I think it's going to reset, and with that will be the last go around. There is not enough time for another lap. The 62 has also called it. Miguel Martins, after that incredible charge, being knocked down to P4. But that could all come undone in a minute if Les Stevenson continues on this track.
Yeah, Les is currently, what's this now? It's like it was like 2 temps up before the S's. He just lost a little bit of time coming through there now. A bit of tidy exit through there. McLaren's. I always thought McLaren was quite weak around here, but apparently he's really strong according to the various bops you can get. But I can never extract that sort of time from it on this track. Come through Crocodiles now, trying to keep this tidy. Bit of oversteer there, but Vine, you can use as much of that curb as you can, and into Cheetah, avoid the curb of death as we take up a lot of the little curb extension there as we come to the last corner. I forgot what this corner's called now. 3 temps up. Les has had a bit of a oversteering moment for the final corner, probably be like 1.5 temps up on his time, or just a 10 up now. But I think that last corner there, Ryan, just ruined it for him. For his
that last corner, if the McLaren had just a little bit more grip, it would have been P4, and that I think shows Les's frustration. That's 8 thousandths of a second.
I'm going to go check on that cameraman now. I'm going to go check on that cameraman now, Ryan. I think he's just had a bit of a brown trousers moment.
I think the cameraman dropped the camera and ran away. I think that would be the best thing. Carl, we haven't really talked about this adorning a new paint job. Grim Lilith here in the more Ford-inspired. What is it? Dratini. No, Dratini. I like it. A big jump for them up into P9, and I think Malcolm. I don't think that would have been an improvement for the 199.
Well, we'll see. I think they're trying to. The last 2 cars on track are on improved laps at the minute. Emo plate here coming into the final corner, 10th up on their time at the minute. Bit awkward, bit greedy on that brake on the speed through the final corner there, Ryan. But it's still a 10th up. Proves to P7 for plate, and finally Oh, actually, no. Jackson's Mitsubishi Eclipse is going to improve. Kaneko's Ferrari behind is increasing 2 temps up. It's probably going to be, where's Kaneko on my list? Oh, there you go. There, P15. So what's that? P4 in class. So pretty good from Kaneko. And let's have a look, Ryan, at these quality times, eh?
And as you mentioned, the Ford GT3 in a straight line where it can stretch its legs, be in the purple sector by almost, it's a good tenth and a bit faster than the McLaren. And then as soon as the downforce comes in, as soon as the McLaren can actually flex, what that car was really made for, almost 3 temps in the middle sector, and just a hair in the final one, but that's with all that downhill section that it can really stretch its legs with the Mustang as well. So it's still a great showing from that. And for silver class, it's Ashbury takes the pole position on that, followed by Reinhard in the, once again, the both Ferraris putting on a good show. Callum Kerrigan, once again, thinking that he was slow. I wouldn't call the third P3 in class very slow. Masatoshi Kaneko, that car was getting faster and faster towards the end. Maybe the 740's got something. And Adnan Pasina, our sole Porsche, takes P5. It'll be interesting to see what the Porsche does in the race, though. Maybe with a bit more fuel weight over its nose. Maybe it just gets a little bit better.
I think Callum's probably thinking maybe Callum's just really ambitious, Ryan. That's why he's thinking he's slow. Maybe P3 just isn't good enough for him. You never know. But yeah, hopefully we're going to see some standings. I've just had it in my ear from Jesse Lee. We are going to have some standings now. Well,
Right.
there we go. A smooth operation for Nightel, isn't it, right?
Well, always drivers are always going to shoot for the stars. I think that's all we can say for our friend in the McLaren. But yes, standings. This is including round 2 that we did not broadcast. Erton de Jong is is P1 so far. This was the guy who came in the silver class and immediately was promoted. And as Jesse mentioned as well, we do have a drop round this season, so this is all thinking about that. 197 Jordan Daly P2, but I believe they have signed out of the championship, sadly. Tyler Jason Lavallee could be picking up some good points here. Needs to keep it going, though, because Grim Lilith is right behind them, tied for that 4th place with Joe Dorber and the fellow Mercedes. Raphael Yule has also signed out of this championship, I believe. Olivia Curtin takes your P7 in the Porsche. Ted Edwards could be quite a gainer from this if he if he can have a good race and really gain some points. That'll move him up quite a lot. Mike Redford is P9 with 20, and Roman Frala is your P10 in the Ferrari with 18 points. Getting on to the second row, Aaron Jackson here in the Audi R8 Mitsubishi Eclipse Evolution 2, whatever you want to call it, with 16 points. Miguel Martins could take another big bunch of points here. Currently P12 with 14 points, tied with Emo Plate, another hard charger tonight. And do you think the Lamborghini could also be,
Have I been pronouncing that wrong?
I don't know. Well, Jesse has actually corrected us. It's Plata. So there you go. Today I see. I never know these things, Phil. I just
I don't know either.
I guess
Fine, yeah.
I just guess everybody's name.
I
I
think
get
we
them
should just
wrong.
make
That's what I
everyone's
do.
name wrong from now on.
Yeah. And off to
Yeah,
silver.
after silver. So
It's chaperoned on.
so
Callum Kerrigan, the man who thinks he's slow, currently in the lead with 45. You got Mark Reinhard following close behind. It could be a bit of a switch up for the championship here. 40 points. Adnan Pasina also in the chase with 34 points, tied with Alan Astorbury in that of a Ferrari, 34 points as well. Masatoshi Kaneko in the 296 with 26 points. Another tie there for 5th place with Fernando Gomez in the McLaren. Fred Esperto not far behind as well on 23 in the Mercedes AMG. Scott Lawson with 20. Another tie with Kaya Siva in the Lamborghini with 20. And Neil Pimlott is your final top 10 with 3 points. And on to the second round, you have Jordan Bobbins in the Ferrari with currently 0 points, and everyone with a dash has signed out of the championship.
you know what, Ryan? I was really worried you were gonna mispronounce everyone's name on purpose for the silver one.
Uh, I could try that, but then I would have to like find a taxi and get out of here very quickly. As I would need to make my escape on the cool down lap as all the drivers are coming in and wanting to murder me.
Why? They're not going to murder you. I'll say something just as terrible, and then they'll murder me. So what are they going to do?
Phil will be my bodyguard.
Yeah, that's to get through me first. Yeah.
As we start to go down the grid, as you pointed out in the when we were watching these cars in the free practice, a kind of British GT Duckham's-esque inspired livery on this one, very striking with the yellow and blue. Another car that you're not really going to mistake from a from a distance. And I always think in my head when I say Duckham's is we had a friend of the family who always called it Dackhams, and anyone who's from the south of England will probably be able to tell where he's from. But the second row of the second position on the front row is the Mustang GT3, followed by Ted Edwards on that next row.
Have they got two screens in there?
I believe so. They have on the Mustangs.
Why do you have two screens? You don't need two screens.
Because they're new and technological.
Look.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. They've got all of the technologies. It's going to be interesting to see what the Mustang will do. On the start, it's a hard charger, and the inside line, it gets very wide on this track. It's going to be interesting to see what Ted can do. That we're looking at the Duck-esque Audi Sport livery. You see
Brian,
some
you
of
missed
those.
It. You missed it. We could have said we've gone from Duckham's to just Ducks.
We could have done. I'll need to note this down. Where's my pen? I need to note this down. Funny jokes for next time, lads. Funny jokes for next time, lads.
It doesn't have to be funny, man. It can just be jokes. That's what I do.
The Iron Lynx Lamborghini. Remember when Lamborghinis were everywhere and in this, and you get Malk Racing, the Night Owl branded car. God, I always love that one. And we'll finally get a bit of a closer look. There you go. Grim Lilith's new paint job. The Ford sort of as Kaiju line. It's the Dratini, a play on a brand
there
I'm
is one
sure
on the side
everybody
as
knows.
well. There's one on the back as well.
Yes, I remember seeing that car, and of course we've got the Digby Digital. Always a great sponsor is Digby Digital.
Yes, and the new Dirt Rally 2 club, as Jesse Lee's seen. Rally Club International have moved away from EWRC, and now we're using Dirt Rally 2. So the Kaiju cars are in WRC inspired liveries for Monday Champ as well, which is on Monday. It's coming up, believe it or not. But they're running in Audis. Aaron's not in his Audi WRC one for this race, but as we move on, I still like that logo. That's such a good logo for a model company. Ryan, the Vulcan one, but
oh yeah,
I do like Callum's livery, very good. And then Mike Redford's fairly mainstay, and he's camera shy. He's camera shy.
We pointed that. Is this like we always say that you have the commentator's curse, or it's the power of the cameraman. If someone they get the camera pointed at them and they have a problem. We've found Jesse Lee's superpower. He pointed the camera at that McLaren. Poof, gone. Erased, turned to atoms.
Got to be responsible with that power, Jesse Lee. You can't be using it all the time.
I have a feeling we might see a McLaren in the pits, and we also see a Lamborghini that currently has not started. They're going to have to get that car started and going, otherwise they might face the same problem in the Mountain Wolf. Oh, there they go. They've got it going. They've got to catch back up to the field. Now, I have a feeling, do we see a McLaren anywhere, or have they just disappeared?
Yeah, there they are.
Nope, there they are.
Excuse me, sorry.
So a start from the pit lane will be for the McLaren. It might not be such a bad thing, though. You never know what's going to happen.
The race may be reset. You never know, man.
Well, also
there may be a restart. There's a big incident. Is what I mean before people start.
Yes, we've seen it before at Kyalami, and it's one of those you always say we never hope it happens again, but racing drivers are racing drivers, and personally I've even been in one of those accidents, so I can say that it will happen again, because it does.
I think it's just the way that the first 3 corners are like, people always count the little kink before the first braking zone as a corner, so it depends what you want to call it.
Actually, going to
But
mistake a corner. It
but
isn't a corner.
but people do call that a corner, don't they? But either way, like the first complex of corners you have, like the way it goes from like left to right and then back to left again. Like I think that catches people out when at the start of a race because you tend to be more side by side or more crowded and stuff, don't you? So you think you completely forget that the track moves to one side and then goes back again. So I don't know how to put it to you, Ryan. It's just like people think it's a straight line, but it's not. Basically,
It's when you get the warning 4 wide and you realise that turn 1 does actually, it might be wide at the on the start, but turn 1 is not 4-car wide. I can confirm this.
I've never had a 4 wide warning in this game. Do you actually get one?
I've had a 4 wide warning, but through crew chief. And
okay.
That was a very terrifying moment when realizing that you are 4 wide going into turn 1 at Kyalami. And
how does it tell you where you are when you're in the middle? Does it go, oh, you're middle left or something?
I was on the very inside, so I don't know. And I backed out of that. I decided that cowardness was the better part of valor, and to just run away. So. But we'll see what these drivers can do. It's going to be a 1-hour race, as you said, 2 mandatory pit stops. We're still 17 degrees currently. For the next half an hour, it's just going to stay cloudy, and the track has maybe finally got a little bit more grip. We're still optimum as we start to line up 2 by 2. It's going to be McLaren versus Mustang, waiting for the green light, the anxious wait, because it seems to go on forever at Kyalami. You're waiting, you've gone past it, and there you go, there's the green flag as we finally start this 1-hour race. And Tyler Jason Lavalle's going to tuck behind the McLaren immediately, try to get a bit of a slipstream, but you're going to dive to the outside. You want to make them defend. You can go around the outside here, it is possible, as everyone's managing to get through that very, very cleanly. There's a bit of a 3 wide in the background. There's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but everyone makes it through. It's still very, very clean. Might be a bit of a look on the inside. Callum Kerrigan might lose out to another place of his Ferrari. I think he does, and there's a McLaren off in the background.
Yeah, I don't know which McLaren that was. Was that Ferrari? I think we've just been told that Jordan Bobbins in our ears there. I just noticed there's a bit of contact. I think it was Grim Lilith and Matthew Malcolm, and we're having a bit of identity crisis here with who is the 60, and this is, well, we've just been told it's a 60. So that was Gomez's McLaren that's been contacted. There's move to see Dusty Gomez there, just been overtaken by Mike Radford. That's through bit of argy-bargy there, but I think that was more just Radford not, or just both of them just not knowing where they are. So Grim Lilith here just trying to get past the Ferrari, the 71 Lamborghini there, just come through mine shaft as still side by side. Not sure this is gonna, I'm not sure how this is gonna work, Ryan. Hopefully move on to a different camera angle as we're still side by side. We're gonna come into cheetah side by side because I think if you're on the outside, probably just give this up. There we go. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what you do. Yeah.
Finally gets it done. We had a bit of a crash in the background, a yellow flag that was. We might eventually be able to regain that. In fact, here we go. What's happened towards the background? This is the 903 of Adnan Pasina, the Porsche. I think people trying to go in. The Mercedes lets up brakes, and I think then. The Ferrari has. The Ferrari doesn't expect the 77 to kind of stop accelerate or stop braking in a way, and runs right into the back of them. But I think the 77 had tapped Pasina, realised that what they'd done and let off. And this was the lap 1 incident. This is Gomez and Scott Lawson.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to that McLaren in the background. Scott Lawson coming off the worst of those two. And so far, that is all that we have to do. So realistically, a very clean start to this race at Kyalami.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised considering we saw, I think it was like a 3 wide between, Jackson, Kerrigan, and I think it was Asprey, all 3 wide in the first 2 corners, and I was literally just waiting for an incident to happen between those 3, but fair play to both, fair play to all 3 of them there. Managing to get through that one clean as anything. As we see, this is Joe Dorber and Les Stevenson. This is coming up to the top of the hill here. Just a bit of a bit of a what do you want to call it? Interesting pass, but I think that was more just what do you call it? Like we always say, like overtake with contact, but I think sometimes that's not it's not the contact that made that pass happen. It's just Dorber had just went a bit too fast into the corner. But I'd say that's as clean as you can get with contact, should we say? But yeah, I don't think Les is gonna be that bothered about it. Dorber already gained, what's this now? He's gained about half a second on Stevenson already now. So we see Pacina coming to the pits, probably to do his first service. There is a pit window, but it's just a pit window just to prevent any last lap shenanigans. As we see Ryan, a replay. This is Adnan Pacina and who's that now? Siva on Pacina there. As I know, just a bit of contact, causer of the contact getting worse off. So nothing really to do there, is there, Ryan?
Yeah, I think Pacina's come in probably to, you know, if that car's carrying a bit of damage, maybe wants to get a bit of clean air. You know, I've had those few incidents and things. Right, I'll get one stop out of the way, see what I can recover. And as he says from earlier, I think basically for that, Dorber just stood both feet on the brakes, and you can make that work if you are brave on the brakes. It's a hard braking point. What you know, our cameras don't really show from unless you're inside the car. You can kind of see it here. It's completely blind. Many drivers will have many different you know, bits that they use as a braking marker, but yeah, it's just blind, and you're kind of hoping. The 177 is going to try, Mike Reinhardt is going to try go around the outside to gain the inside for Cheetah. It isn't going to work though on Callum Kerrigan. The McLaren stays ahead, but it shows that Ferrari's got a bit of pace, and going back up, Joe Dorber still very hard on the brakes on that 777. It's now going to be a race between the two rocket ships. You've got the Mercedes AMG V8 and the Audi V10 screaming down. The McLaren in the background is thinking, Les is thinking, can I capitalize on this? Can I wait until these slow each other up? And he might do. Look, the inside has been opened, but I don't think Les has got the energy. He hasn't got the momentum to get by. But all of this as well is bringing Green Lilith into the fight.
Yeah, and I've just noticed plates just behind them as well. So I think Joe Dorber's just got past now, but he's now. But Martin's just got Les Stevenson to his outside, and Grim Lillis to the inside of Les Stevenson. This is going to be a bit complicated now, boys. If we're not careful. Les moved off the racing line, blocks Grim a bit, but he's been compromised. Someone's been compromised now. Martin's still on the inside line. Les is going to try and go around the outside. Holds it. That's actually some brilliant driving from Les Stevenson there. Holds it round the outside for the S's to get to the inside for the second half of it. Overtakes Martins. And Martins is having another go at him. And all this is doing now is bringing both Grim Lilith Plate and Malcolm, and maybe Aaron Jackson in his Mitsubishi Eclipse, who just snuck into view there now as well, Ryan Wilson. We'll go back to your previous point as we see these guys attack each other. Do you think, Ryan, putting both feet on the brake pedal makes you slow down faster?
Yeah, it gives you the illusion that you're slowing down faster. At least that's what I always feel. These guys are still at it, but I think Miguel Martins is going to lose out, trying to go too wide through Cheetah. Just ends up dipping it onto the gravel. You can see what that causes. The Mitsubishi in the background, very much on the brakes there, trying to get it back. That could have been a very hairy, almost, you know, lap and a half there, but it was still a very, very clean, very, very respectful battle there. But Miguel Martins has kind of lost out everything, but he's not taking it laying down. He's back on the attack. Needs to get going. There goes the rear end of the Audi, having a bit of a wiggle. There's a bit more of a contact. He's still there in the McLaren. Finally manages to get some grip under the Audi and away. I thought for a moment there we were almost going to go 3 wide. The flash of the lights of disapproval there, but I thought we were going to go 3 wide for a brief moment.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that the position back? I think my mind's thinking, all right, I'll have another go, shall we?
I was going to say, Martin's not doing the first rule of Cheetah. We talked about this on the first lap with who is it now? Grim overtaking Plate, I think it was, and Plate just gave him the position because it was on the outside line. That's the reason why, if you're outside the Cheetah and you're too wide, you just give him the position, because there ain't no way you're going to make that too wide, because you just end up going in the gravel, don't you, Ryan?
Most times, unless you are very brave or you very trust the person that you're next to. And while all this has been happening, back at the front of the race, as we almost have a moment through Cheetah there, this is De Jong, the 64, manages to keep the lead of the race, but he has not ditched that 35 Ford. That Mustang is and we've just noticed that it's not Ford Motorsports, it's Fjord Motorsports. He has not managed to ditch this 35. That Mustang is still holding on. And Ted Edwards as well in the background. 3.6 seconds, but what did we see at round 1, if you remember? When people start battling, you can easily lose 4 seconds in the space of 2 laps. So I think Ted at the minute, all he has to do, because he's in this bubble, all he has to do is run consistent laps. He's not caught up in this craziness. And you never know. We don't know what Ted's crazy strategy could be.
I mean, I'd point out while you're there talking about bubbles, there is a man that we just seen just run across the front of the screen there, Joe Dorber. He's managed to break away from this little group now. He's I think Ted just had a bit of a moment the previous lap. He did a 1:41.1 previous lap, and Joe Dorber did a 1:48, so that's 3 tenths faster. He's only just under 4 seconds slower than Ted Edwards at the minute. So why you say Ted's got a bit of a bubble? I think that bubble may be bursted by. It's not the right past tense. Bursted? I'm not really sure. I'm going to stick with it for now. It sounds wrong to me, Ryan, but either way, but chat, tell me if I'm wrong. But either way, what do you call a bubble that's been bursted? Is it just burst, or is it? Why am I stressing on the B? It's awful. But moving on. We see Mike Redford. Jesse Lee's distracted me in my ear again. Mike Redford now on board with him as we recover from our pit lane start for Redford. That's Callum Kerrigan in front. He's P5 in class at the minute. He's still going to negotiate all these silvers, Ryan. No, we're not going to if we go to the curb like that. Just immediately the pit, immediately on the pit. Very, very good idea from Mike Redford. Just pretend that was all on purpose, Ryan. Good idea.
I mean, it is a way to enter the pits, and if you get down pit lane, is it really the wrong way? You know, we accomplished the end goal just in a different way to everybody else. But as he says, it could all come undone. But you kind of just got to keep your head down, especially when you've got this clean air. While you're not caught up in anything, you can kind of just run laps. But for De Jong, he can't really keep his head out of the game too long, because otherwise this Mustang will pounce. It's getting the gap keeps yo-yoing up and down, but I don't think he's really managed to pull more than a second on the 35 this whole go. Now it's gonna be interesting when the 64 does finally pit. Will the 35 pit instantly out of reaction, or is the Mustang planning something? It's one of those, you never know with drivers, and as he says, with two stops, you can kind of treat it as 2 sprint races. It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. Still 48 minutes of this race and 46 minutes of the pit window. Everything to play for.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to see majority people pit within in the next 10 minutes. Not within, but I think when that timer goes to 40 minutes, we'll probably see a lot of people coming to the pit lane. There is other alternative strategies. I've seen one strategy once. I think we've had this once in Night Owl, where the driver pitted did both his pit stops, but he did them in the last 2 laps of they possibly could, which you can do. I'm not really sure there's any benefit, particularly because we're having to change tires. As we see Tyler Jason LaValle here is really sniffing the back of this McLaren, but as we see the McLaren enter the more stronger parts of the track, where these S's, for instance, McLaren really just loves these like high to medium speed corners, isn't it, Ryan? As suddenly this gap that was about a 10 is probably back up to like maybe half a 10, or maybe back to like 3 tenths or 4 tenths or something, Ryan. It certainly looks further away through just like a couple of corners alone, doesn't it?
It's also when when the dirty air really starts coming into play, then it will wash out the front of that Ford. It'll be harder and harder to kind of make it as the Ferrari's going for a big slide. We were about to say this is Mark Reinhardt on the pass, making his way up the field, but the other Ferrari having a big moment there through Skylines. If you unload the mid-engines, that is what they will do. The Skylines can be a very scary corner because some cars only lightly tap the brakes. You let it coast in, but you're putting a lot of trust in your car, a lot of trust in your setups to really carry you through that corner. We've also got a yellow flag for the 11. That's Lawson, who's had an incident there, dropping down to P20, and there it is for the Lawson Motorsports. See, another name that I cannot pronounce. We'll have a quick replay, but it's obviously happened over 30 seconds ago. So no contact. He's done that to himself. Something's happened to the McLaren.
Very, very well done from Pacina as well. No, just let him come back on the track, which very rarely. Well, sometimes that's rare to see drivers, even if it just means on the straight, just going off the racing line just for a couple of seconds to let another car back on the track. As we move back, see Grim and Blake. That's Matt Malcolm and Miguel Martins in the background there. As I think that's been a bit of an off. Who's that? That's Les Stevenson there.
That's Les.
Just had a bit of a moment just coming out of the clubhouse. I'm not sure if we're going to see a replay of that, but I think Les had a bit of a moment on the curb. McLaren's not the fondest car on curb, but Grim Lillips now may take advantage. He's coming around the outside. He's still there. He's definitely still there. Yeah, so he's probably going to have him through clubhouse. He's going to have well, no, he's not actually. I think the McLaren's just had a bit of a change in direction there. I'm not really sure what happened there. I think either Grim's had the he's got don't go on the outside of Crocodiles. What's going on here? Grim's probably got like too much of that Colin McRae attitude going on there now, Ryan. But we'll see if he can what he can do here. He's seen Les has had a bit of an incident. And now he's like he's just seen that P5. He's suddenly fixated on it, isn't he?
Best time to pounce when you've seen a driver up ahead has had a slight problem and maybe they're not back 100% into the zone yet. If you pounce and you knock them even further out of their out of their line, then you can gain the position. Like I said, Grim Lilith was all over it. There was just not enough room to pass there. That McLaren was surprisingly wide that time, no matter what. But Les very clearly now knows that Grim is here for this position. This is the hardest sort of position to be in. You want to attack the McLaren in front, but you've also got a very, very, very fast Lamborghini behind you that you're not leaving either. You can't give yourself up too much. If anything, I think Grim would be hoping that Miguel Martins gets back into this fray. Because if he can slow the 71 up, all is golden. But then once again, Martins is in the middle of another sandwich. So it's just all craziness, no matter where you look on this. This is like it's fantastic racing, but as a driver, it's like the most stressful part of this race. And while we've even been talking about that, pit stops not including, obviously, looking down. Silver sections had a bit of a shake up. The 740 of Masatoshi Kaneko, remember I said how that car felt like it'd get a bit stronger in the race? Well, the 740 so far, leading silver class. Now, they haven't pitted. I think Pacina's, the 903 is the first of the silvers to take a pit stop off. But they are...
Oh no, Ryan, you cursed it!
See, look what I've done! He's cursed it, but there you go. No, it was just the alternate entry. We've proved that entry works. So the 740 was just taking the alternate entry, and the 115 has also decided to come down and take the pit.
We need to check if Grim's done the optimal entry now as well. But the only problem with that,
Grim's a traditionalist.
Oh right, okay. The only problem with that entry is you can only do it twice. And then the third time you're a bit screwed, Ryan. You're gonna have to own up to your mistake at that point. But yeah, there's. But I think Grim's probably done the right thing there. I was gonna say this is a bit of a reach of an analogy, but it's a bit like when you have a complicated board in chess or something like that. There's nothing wrong with simplifying the board in a way. And again, that's what Grim's done. He's just taken himself out of this fight. Simplified his race. in that all he has to do is just go, right, I'm just going to focus on my own race now. Not worry about anybody trying to overtake me. Not worried about trying to overtake someone else, and let them worry about overtaking each other. As we see Jordan Bobbins here come through the first sector. I think he's just gone a bit wide, grabbed a bit too much grass, and yeah, that's a fairly typical thing for going wide around here. It does. You don't have to lose grip, do you, Brian? We're coming off the track, and that's a fairly simple rejoin. I think he's probably checked his trap before he reversed on back onto the track, but fairly safe from Jordan Bobbins as Tyler Jason the Valley. And I noticed Ted Edwards is also pitting, so both Mustangs following each other into the pit lane here, Ryan.
Yeah, both Mustangs in the 64 will continue on as Miguel Mines also dives down the pit lane. As you sort of theorised, a lot of people starting to come into the pits. Here comes Callum Kerrigan in the 28, also down pit lane. But yeah, I think the 68, that car seems to have been struggling after a little bit. They've had the slide at Skylines, and that, you know, can really hurt the tyres as well. Probably put a lot of graining on them, so it'd be interesting to see what kind of pace the car picks back up to once people start to pit. Tyler Jason LaValle as well also took the purple fastest lap, so that Mustang has got the pace. Maybe it might have been a tactical move, is, you know, get in and get back out there in the fresh air again, you know, and then see if he can chase down the 64. It'd be interesting to see what they do as they're flying down the mine shaft. We'll see if they pit maybe in reaction, or if the 64's got a bigger plan. As he says, we have seen drivers in Night Owl do very, very alternate strategies for these. There isn't necessarily one that works for everyone. Some people always think that the fastest is the low fuel and 2, and I think that's what the 64 is going to do in this lap for the leader of the race.
Yeah, I was going to mention, I think I've already seen Miguel Martins. He's already jumped Ted Edwards after his pit stop there. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen. Ted Edwards, not really sure what's the only thing Ted was racing, I think, was just Joe Dorber. Joe Dorber was about 2.6 seconds behind Ted when he pitted, so we'll see what gap that is when Joe Dorber pits, as Aaron Jackson brings his Mitsubishi Eclipse into the pit lane. Probably going to put some new street tyres on that thing. Probably burnt those out by now, but we'll see. Where was he when he pitted? P7. So he was behind. Who were they? Who was behind? I was behind. He was in that. He was at the back of that train, which was Martins, Lilith, and Platt and Malcolm. So we'll see where they are. Platt and Malcolm are currently P3 and 4. They're probably not going to stay there by the end of the race, I'd say, Ryan. But we'll see. Clean air. It's one of those things really when you have clean air, though, Ryan, where you're just effectively racing yourself now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a case of how consistent can you put in these laps over and over. I'm kind of interested to see what the 777's plan is, because the Mercedes, I know I was thinking about what fuel loads people are going to take, what could the strategy be. Well, the Mercedes is quite thirsty on the fuel. I was wondering if, considering both Mustangs dive down the pits at the same time, I'm guessing they've worked out the fuel burn almost together, because I haven't even driven that car either. I don't know if it's good or bad on the fuel. I know that some of them are brilliant, but I have to see what it is. Matt Malcolm's come back out of the pits and finds himself in another bit of a traffic. There's another yellow flag. That's at the top of the hill. That's the 60. That's Gomez. It's had a bit of a problem, Fernando Gomez, up at the top of the hill. Have a race replay. And we just caught the tail end of it, but it looked like they bounced off someone.
Yeah, I think we saw a car in close proximity, so we'll probably see. We're not going to see actually on the replay, so this is as far back as we can go, unfortunately. But Jesse's got it further. Never mind. As we come on to, there we go. That's more okay. That looked a bit more. That looked more like Gomez was innocent until I saw that one. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to be a bit. Put my Chief Steward hat on there, Ryan, and say, well, that's his own fault there. Poor rejoin on Gomez's part. But I'm pretty sure most drivers will put their hands up when they've had an incident. That's their fault. We move on. This is definitely a bit of activity in the pit lane now. As we see, who is that now? There's Reinhardt and Esperanto are in the pits then.
Well, that might hurt the 177's race. Reinhardt was part of the leading Ferrari pack, so if he has to repair that damage, that's going to drop him out of the silver fight of the Ferraris, it seems. So that's we'll have to see what the 177 does, what the pit timer is from the in to the out. You can kind of judge if people have fixed the damage, what they've what their strategy might have been. So, but the 177 still sat there. I think they're gonna have been fixing that damage. As everyone starts to shake back out, this leading group is still has yet to pit. Eric De Jong has rejoined the track, and I think as things have started to settle back out, it's about 2 seconds now. So I think both Mustangs had a slightly longer pit because you had Eric De Jong had 58 seconds, and then both Mustangs were a minute and 1 respectively. So a little bit longer stop for the Mustangs.
Yeah, maybe it's just that they missed their pit boxes, or just to be a bit careful on pit entry. We see now this is the fight for the lead now between Malcolm and Platter, or Platter, I think Justin said it's Platter or something like that. I'm going to go with that for now. As we go through the first couple of corners, Malcolm there takes to the curves. Probably not a good idea in these McLarens. But yeah, you should have the bit of an advantage, bit of a nice line there through the second half of going onto the straight now. So we just see this Lamborghini now, the Evo 2 Lamborghini Huracan. Through Sunset we go. Third gear corner, just coming through, probably a bit shallow through there. Probably take a bit more of that curve. Going into Clubhouse now. Don't touch this curve on the left hand side. Nice exit there, but I think Platter's probably got the advantage on Malcolm. I must admit, Ryan, considering we have to replace tyres, I think we're probably coming up to the edge of when this is actually useful to stay out. Without wasting tyres, if you know what I mean. I'm not really sure if we start losing pace after 20 minutes on these tyres significantly compared to, sorry.
I think it depends on how much of a lunatic you are behind the wheel. If it was me, then it's going to be 15 minutes and the tyres are just going to be shredded. I mean,
it's a fabled bro steer, is it?
Yeah. I don't think that anyone who's dealt with me in an endurance race would be watching this as the 199 dives off in the background. So starting to see the very late pitters finally coming down pit lane. I don't think anyone who will have done an endurance race with me will have been watching, but they will tell you that graining on my set of tires and extreme wear is the that's kind of the norm. It's when
what you're saying is, Ryan, that they don't want you to double stint on your tires.
No, it was always a case of it's like, how many tires do we have? We have one less than we required. Right, well, Mawson isn't double stinting him. Okay.
That's like me. My team are exactly the same thing with me. Don't put Phil out on the same tires. Christ.
No, it would just be a bad day.
I have that rally driver moment where I just like yank the wheel everywhere. Just come on, get around this fast. Gotta go fast.
Always. That is how you win races. It's advice that you give everyone. It's like how do I win? It's like, well, you just be fast. How do I get faster?
Yes.
Well, just drive faster. That's just how it works.
Wait, how do I go faster? No, just drive faster.
Yeah. And, here comes in Siva for the 271. Finally coming down pit.
Are we paying people for Coach Mawson Academy, by the way?
Coach Mawson Academy. Do you too want to ruin your tyres even in the qualifying session? Well, good. Because
do you want to go faster? Just drive faster.
Yeah, we can teach you. Also, I hope you like driving the Bentley, because that's all you're gonna get taught.
What about the M6? Can you do the M6 as well?
We could do the M6 as well, actually.
Nice.
See, the Bentley would have a brilliant feature on this track. It's right-hand drive. You can see cheater. See the strategies. Nobody thought to bring a Bentley here. See.
Now that needs bopping right now.
I know that needs like a 65 kilogram bop. That's just unreasonable. That.
You need a really big
right-hand drive.
You need a really big driver side A pillar so you can't see out that side anymore.
It already has a fair big one, but as he says, for people continuing on, the Iron Lynx Lamborghini of Emma Platé still out there. As he says, you've got to think that the tires must be hurting now, especially with the Lamborghini. The last time I ever drove it, it used to absolutely fry the rear tires. But I don't know. Maybe it's a strategy. Maybe keeping the heat in is better for the consistent lap times. Who knows?
Now, I have noticed there is a bit of an interesting fight maybe developing. They're both pitted. Joe Dorber has leapfrogged Ted Edwards in the pits. He was 2.5 seconds behind, but I have noticed Ted has slowly began to crawl back towards Joe Dorber. He came out about 0.8 seconds ahead of Edwards, and now the gap, as you can see, is down to like 0.6 of a second. But we'll see now. These two, not really separate. Speaking of drivers that can't separate themselves, it's Malcolm, Lilith, and Jackson, and they come through sunset now. Lilith's probably where's Martins? He's 2.5 seconds up the road. There's we see a bit of I wouldn't say caginess from these three, Ryan, but yeah, we'll probably see a bit more. Malcolm has pitted, but Plate has just come into the pits. Now I've noticed that where are we on track now? We're where are they on track? Where are they on track? Okay, so Platter may come out or may drop when these lot come round the final corner. So it's going to be very close when they come out when he comes out of pit lane, Ryan.
Yeah, so the 64 will retake the lead of the race. We'll see where the 71 comes back out. Trim Lilith pitted, thinking that maybe they could get themselves some clean air, get themselves out of this battle. Well, that necessarily hasn't worked. The 199 is still hot on the heels. Still waiting for the 2 to tick down to 1. There it is for the 71. It's going to be close as they come out. We're just waiting for them to kind of appear in the camera, but they've got to get back up to speed as well. When are we going to see that green Lamborghini? There they are, the flash of the lights from Miguel Martins saying move out of the way please, I'm on a hot one. But yeah, they've leapfrogged them.
I'm on a hot one. Is that racing terminology now, right?
Well, either that or he doesn't want to get caught up back in this battle that's happening behind us. The 119 looks at the inside of Grim Lilith. That would be a very, very scary move. Yeah, I have seen it happen. I have seen it work, but it takes an awful lot of trust in the driver ahead.
Yeah, right. I've seen that work too. I've seen that happen. I've seen drivers try it too. I've never seen it work.
I've seen it work a few times, but that was me racing people I know. So it was.
Right, so they go, oh Christ, it's Ryan. He's coming.
Yeah, they are. There's this kamikaze lunatic here. I best get out of the way.
Well,
looking back down, yeah. So this is what I thought. So the 117 Mark Reinhard, they were up quite a lot, in the Ferrari battle. But they fixed that damage that they sustained, just dropped them down. So it's a pass on the 65, their fellow Ferrari friend. Match machinery. Sometimes it's better in match machinery. You kind of know the strengths and weaknesses that person in front is going to also be working with, and maybe you can get around it that way. Whereas when you got battles like these, in a McLaren, you are not going to outpace the AMG in a straight line. You've really got to push it through the corners. But Grim is no stranger to defending for an entire race.
I'd say probably gonna. I think one thing that's probably not helped Malcolm at all is that Platter's come out in front of Lilith, and it's not going to be a significant amount, but it is something where the Lamborghini is creating a bit of a draft for the Merc, which isn't really helping Malcolm's case to try and get past him. Because one of the things about the McLaren is it's fairly fast in a straight line. It's one of the faster cars in a straight line, I'd say, the McLaren. One of its weaknesses is braking, or slow speed corners in general. Certainly is very strong through what we're going through now, which is what do you call it? Like it's fast through some of these like high speed, medium speed turns where the brake's not really a factor. It's the low, well, it's the aero of the car, which is where the McLaren shines. The Merc is probably the same sort of like straight line speed performance, but it's more stronger through some of these like sections where we need to brake, where we need to just use the low end torque of the car, should we say, Ryan? But it's been an interesting fight, and Platter's not really getting away. In fact, he's if anything, Lilith's catching him. I'd say very slightly, but he is catching him.
Yeah, very slyly, I would say, but it's one of those. It's easy to catch up on this track. It's a lot difficult to, or it's a lot harder to make the pass. You kind of just got to keep that pressure on. But you can see how hard the McLaren's pushing, running out wide through Cheetah there. Really, really trying to maximize everything that they can to get on the back of this Mercedes, just so that they're in striking range. As he says, it's not necessarily the best on the brakes. They can't outbrake them. They've got to try everything that they can, but with that Lamborghini up ahead, you can see the Mercedes just keeps its own down the straight. It's gonna be, it's definitely going to be a workout. But for the 199, they might be able to leapfrog them in the pits. Grim Lilith obviously came in earlier. The Merc might pit earlier again, and then that will release the 199. Maybe if they can keep that pace up, if they haven't worn all the rubber off the tires, if they haven't, you know, sort of lost on pace in the car. As you can see what happens with the dirty air on a McLaren, you take away its front downforce, it can't do sunset as, you know, as tight as it necessarily wants. It's very, very interesting, this race, and thankfully, as we says, we thought that there might be some form of rain in this race. It hasn't come to fruition. The clouds have been around, but it's still dry.
Oh, very sad. Very sad there's no rain. We're going to have a word with... We have to work with the man who was responsible for this weather setting after the race. Taking away some fun. One thing I've noticed, by the way, on the timing tower, we finally have a green colour next to somebody's name. That means they've done all their pit stops, or mandatory pit stops. That's Adnan Pasina in the 903. Currently, well, second to last in class, but that is to be expected if nobody else has pitted yet. Obviously, you lose about. Oh, what do you lose now, Ryan? Like 40, 50 seconds pitting around here? A minute. You say a minute, you lose a minute pitting around here. So that's to be expected.
On average, the pit stops you have all been a minute, and then give or take with the damaged cars. But yeah, Kyalami is it's a deceivingly long pit, as the 903 is going to go for that move that we had mentioned about, and you said people have rarely seen it work. Really pushed the Lamborghini out, and there you go. The 903 has got the run, got the better exit. I think I was going to say the flash of the lights in disapproval once again of the. I didn't really like that, but 903 continues on. It was a that's kind of the pressure you have to put on a driver sometimes to you know, to keep your race, because now, as he says, now that they've pitted, they need to make that work. And Grim Lilith going wide there. Now it's the Mercedes that is starting to push, thinking I cannot ditch this McLaren no matter what I do.
I mean, they're probably got to the point where Grim will have to think about pitting early. So that's not the line, Malcolm, over those curves. But they're certainly losing Jackson. Jackson's not really keeping up with them in that Mitsubishi Eclipse behind. Maybe just run out of nitrous oxide or something like that, Ryan. But we'll see. It's granny shifting is what Jesse Lee's suggesting, but we'll see on that point. They got. Actually, what do they do in these cars? Like, do they go into neutral and change gear? Like, go when you like press the paddle, Ryan. Do they like quickly go from like the gear neutral then the desired gear within like half a second or something?
Well, they'll have an auto clutch, but I think a lot of them. I think on some of the very new GT3s, it just retards the engine timing, keeps the throttles pinned wide open, and then just with the gearbox, they've got like air solenoids, and it just bangs it up a gear. They'll have dog gears in them, so they're very, very strong gearboxes. A friend of mine used to work at X-Track, which used to build all the gearboxes that went in these cars. It was you know, that was super interesting to see how these things are put together. Also interesting to see how they worked out for a race. And oh no, for the 199, a drive-through penalty. And I think that pulls over the Malk Racing McLaren. The 199 will retire to the pits. A sad moment. I kind of it had slipped my mind really that Kyalami can, you know, be quite a track limit heavy circuit, and well, that kind of proves what happens. That corner that we've just come through, the Grim Lilith's come through, I've got multiple track limits there, but for the 115, a sigh of relief as the McLaren has finally disappeared from the rear view.
Yeah, I was going to say it tends to be exit of Sunset is another one. exit of Crocodiles, I think, is another one, Ryan, as well. And the exit of the last corner, if you're very adventurous. And so what I was talking about this gap a few laps ago. It's sort of stabilised a bit between Edwards and Dorber. I think I'm not really sure. Ted was catching up with him, but I'm not really sure if he's overworked his tyres, just like seeing targets in front of him and going give sort of thing, Brian. But we'll see. One thing that Jesse Lee pointed out to us before the start of the race, Ryan. Not sure if you can see it at the bottom of the center console. There, the brake bias dial has got a Mustang logo on it. Not sure if you can see that.
Yeah, so it's if you want so if you want more you want more brake bias, it's rearing up, so it's like, and then you can and then you can have minus, you can have whoa Nelly, settle it down, or gear it some more. That's why when they put it on there, it's a visual for the drivers.
It makes those sound effects when you mess about with it as well.
Yeah, like whoa Nelly, or gear some pasty.
Gear some what?
Gear some pasty,
I've never heard that before.
Phil's never heard this expression. Some people from my area, probably Harry Conway, who's I have noticed he has been in our chat, the three times Night Owl champion. He will probably understand what gear some pasty means. But you see the double take there from Ted Edwards, where you turn in and you see the curb, you think, nope, I'm on the wrong line there, I have to readjust. The other thing, just thinking about it, that you mentioned, well, Ted Edwards came in earlier than that 777 did. Mm-hmm. So this Mustang's been out longer on these tyres, as he says it might just be where they start to fall off for this Mustang. 777 went an awful long time before he finally changed all the tyres. And that's the 77 leaving, and the 115 trimmed Lilith. I think, Les Stevenson was the first of the pro cars to come in and clear his lap, but Redford and Lilith following suit now. 19 minutes to go.
Yeah, Lilith coming in for his second service of the day. We'll see what these boys rally mechanics think of the car. Probably a bit cleaner than they used to. But Ted Edwards really is close to Dorber now. I don't really know what's happened with Dorber, but something's happened in since we moved away from them, where Ted just suddenly gained about half a second on him. That Mustang's definitely a lot bigger in that rear view mirror for him now. It's like that T-Rex from Jurassic Park, Ryan, if you remember. but yeah, we'll see how well Dorber can cope with the pressure from Edwards. Joe Dorber is a very experienced driver. Tends to be in, I've seen him a fair few times. He's in split one for the World Tour with Rebound Racing. That's the one with some of the other. There's a few other split one drivers from Monday Champ who are in that one, like Niku Kumpu and Carlos Calatiud and Thibaut Roskam as well. They've run like two cars in that champ. And as Ted Edwards comes into the pit lane, I think he's probably not going to get ahead of Joe Dorber there, Ryan, and probably going for that's Scott Lawson. I just noticed that McLaren. Tell you what, there is points where you're talking about something, Ryan, and then suddenly just something out of shot just distracts you, doesn't it?
Kyalami.
Yes, Kyalami things.
Kyalami will always throw some surprises. What happened to Scott Lawson? Outbreaks into the final corner, which is easy to do. Gets over the curb. You see the car bounce, loses the grip, and the McLaren just sends you round. And front damage on that car once again kind of gets it back around. The turning circle of GT3 cars is not something that you can park in a supermarket, and gets back going again. So coming into the end of this race, it's now shaking up. Everyone's in the pit lane. Ted Edwards in the pit lane. Miguel Martin's in. Aaron Jackson's in. Masatoshi Kaneko comes in for the silver class. Ashbury and Kerrigan elect to stay out there. And Reinhardt is also still ploughing around with that one pit. Everyone else is on this long strategy. Back up the front, Tyler Jason Lavallee has run back down the lead. De Jong, 64. He had quite a gap for quite a while, but that Mustang's come back into its element. He's starting to chase back down again, but the 35 taking a big bite out of the curve.
I don't think that's the thing.
See, he's taken the alternate entry again, so the 35 takes a bite, pulls back into the pit lane, and that will be the last pit or the 35.
That'll be the last stylish pit entry you can make for the rest of the rest of the evening now. Ryan.
Yes, well, any more than that is an unplanned one, and that could be detrimental to your race. But I'm not a strategist. I don't quite know. Something's happened to the 767 as well up the top of the hill. Yellow flag.
Oh.
Silver leader Alan Astorbury has had a problem up the top of the hill, and there goes Callum Kerrigan. There goes the McLaren by.
Yeah, I'm just gonna check my own replay now.
Look
Long
at
replay now. Yeah.
A replay of what happened here. So this is all the way back at sunset. Maybe it might give us an idea of how the car was handling as well. Maybe a little bit understeery, but not too bad. Nothing really out of the ordinary for a car that's that's been on a route. And Phil might have an answer.
I know what happened.
Oh, Phil's got the spoilers. See, Phil's got the season spoilers, but the rest of us are having to watch it live. You see. We'll see what happens to the 767, and now they just pull over.
Would you like to? Well, Ryan, if I told you that the rev counter suddenly started going down.
Oh no.
So I think you've mistakenly pressed his starter button or ignition button by mistake.
Oh no, he's knocked the car off, and there goes the 767 once.
That's why that button is nowhere near my wheel. It's on my keyboard.
There's a SG30. Tyler Jason LaValle has got a stop go 30. He's sped in the pit lane. The 35 has got a stop go 30. That will sadly completely nuke. That is the 35's chances of the race win dead and buried.
That may promote Edwards onto the podium, I think.
It very well may do. We'll have to see what happens when he comes in. Joe Daubler is finally in as well, the 777, not taking the long strategy for the second. The 64 is in. We'll see if the 71 follows suit. And well, this is definitely a shake-up towards the end of the race. Yeah, like I said, Ted Edwards could be being promoted here up onto the podium.
Yeah, we'll see where I'll tell you what, there's just so much considerations going on here. I'm a bit puzzled by it all. So Plata has gone out in the lead, but he's still got a pit. So he's definitely going to lose to De Jong, who has just come out of pit lane. Next up is Joe Dorber, who's just come out of pit lane. There's a little flash there to say hello to everyone in the chat. And he's comfortably ahead of Ted Edwards now. You're not even going to see that Mustang until there he is. So that gap's definitely increased since he pitted. But Ted Edwards has been promoted into effectively P3 now. Ryan, after Tyler Jason LaValle's had to serve his SG30, I'd say, I'm going to go back on my replay now, Ryan, but I'd say he's probably been caught out by the entry, because after his stylish entry, that was totally on purpose, after the curb hitting, when he pitted the first time, Ryan, that's probably caused him to speed in the pit lane, I'm going to say.
Yeah, so big 11s he's dropped by the Mustang there, leaving us...
11s.
It is a big, massive 11 marks from the Mustang as he leaves back out, trying to see where he can. And Phil might have the answer. Was it?
Yeah,
no! Jordan Bobbins, the 65, contact with the that's the 271, a Seaver at the top of the hill, and that's a Ferrari completely sideways. Sees the 65, has to check up and nearly loses the car. 65 waits until everyone's passed to rejoin, a very sensible move. But yeah, that was that's a moment where you wouldn't settle a mid-engine car. And we'll see what happens here. Well, even then, the Lamborghini unsettled themselves. The 65 ended up running into the side of them.
A full credit to Bobbins there for waiting. It sounds a bit, what do you call it? I'm trying to get the right word, patronising to say, but very rare that people actually just wait until traffic's clear. Some people just panic and just go. So. Gonna call it out and praise it when you see it, Ryan. Certainly from my point of view, anyways. Plata still in the lead. He's about 12 or 13 seconds ahead of De Jong at the minute. But two things, he's still got a pit. He'll probably end up behind Stevenson. I think he'll end up where Martins is at the minute. Grim Lilith is 3 seconds behind him, so we'll probably fit back into that gap between Lilith and Jackson at the minute. So yeah, I don't think, as you said before, I think Ted's like built up a bit of a bubble to what do you call it, to himself, well, to other drivers. I mean, Les Stevenson is his nearest competitor. He's about 12 seconds up the road now, so I think he's in a very cozy position for this P3, Ryan.
Yeah, it's as he says. I think it's kind of not set in stone, but he has put in the work, and he's done very well to get him where he is. The 71 will be our last car down at pit lane with only 11 minutes of this race to go. They've had the long strategy. Maybe it's played out for them, but for you know, for whatever reason, that is what they have elected to do. The 64 will take back the lead of the race with now, and they don't have that Mustang behind them to really worry about. And as we were, you know, letting everyone settle themselves out, Silver class is the 767 still after the pits. Asbury has retained the lead.
Yeah.
Lawson has ended up and had another incident in turn 2, but Callum Kerrigan, the 28 McLaren, well, if they want the win of this race in silver, it's right there. The man who didn't think he was very fast at this track, once again starts P3. Even if he finishes P2, still a good improvement. And the McLarens do seem to be quite well in the late stints, I'd say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we should start like pretending Callum's like old, he's a very nice guy, like
he is.
very softly spoken.
But see,
I like the idea that we can just create this like ultra competitive like person who's just like really hard on himself. Like, no, I can only finish first. No, I'm slow if I'm not first.
Well, yeah, I could only finish first. It's like, he's going to aim for first overall next. But it's like I says, it's still very good racing from that. Gaining a little bit there onto the 767, apart from the Ferrari in the straight line. But as he says, it's just been a frantic race all over with the with ups and downs and craziness. And while we have a brief moment as Grim Lilith,
he jumped him.
Still,
Wait, he jumped him.
No, he has, yeah. Lilith jumped the 71, so this still manages to find the 115 has basically been in a battle almost since the green flag dropped, and still can't have a clear rear view mirror because well, now he's got the 71 there. But while we have this brief moment, we would love to thank the people who help us, put on this amazing racing here at RCI, aka Esports. Obviously, everyone knows they've been around for us for a long old time. Go Setups, which, hey, if you want to go fast around here, I'm sure Go Setups will probably have a setup for your track, for your car, to help you that. And Moser Racing, which I will say the one thing about Moser Racing comes up from me because they have a truck simulator steering wheel now, Phil.
And they're going to bring indicator stalks out soon as well. So
see, this is the great thing that the prime things that you need in sim racing.
Exactly.
What do you need for GT3s? You need your indicators.
Yeah, you do. We always say use your indicators. We say use your indicators, and what brilliant thing that you need, then indicator stalks, and you don't need to bound them on the wheel anymore, Ryan. It's just chef's kiss. Great idea. Sorry.
Yes. and then you can be like a BMW driver and never use them.
Well, I don't drive a BMW anymore. So
I do. Well, not in real life, but I've driven a BMW. Maybe that's on the thing on the M6. I should just not use them. Be like, I'm sorry, I'm a BMW driver.
I've run out of blinker fluid.
Yeah, that's very expensive. That stuff. You have to go to BMW service for it.
Really?
Well, yeah, of course. Everything's expensive. And Jesse Lee's died in the background. We've killed Jesse Lee.
Well, they're cheaper for other cars. Are they cheaper for other manufacturers or something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, at Volvo, you could probably just go to IKEA and buy some.
Oh, nice. Wait, along with the meatballs?
Yes. I mean,
nice.
do people go to IKEA to buy furniture?
I think they get lost. I think they get lost in IKEA. To be honest.
True. And well, I'm just watching Jesse on the floor. He's dead. R.I.P. Jesse Lee. Can we have a respects in chat for our broadcaster? He's gone. That's it.
Oh, we've had Harry Conway in the chat confirm. Slow stop for the 115 to refill their blinker fluid. So
See.
that's Plate must have had an even slower time refueling their blinker fluid, as we see. Les
Go on,
Stevenson
Les.
and Miguel Martin's getting into a fight now.
Oh,
These
it's a
two,
big sideways
did
moment.
they actually hit each other? Oh, they didn't hit each other. Les just had a bit of a moment.
Oh, the
Right.
46 had a big sideways moment there, trying to get around Miguel Martins. He's not really wants this position back as Les P4 overall. Les wants it, and 6 minutes left on the clock. You're going to have to make your move sooner rather than later. But Miguel Martins, also a driver who I've raced with, and also is not, no stranger to having to defend for a long old time. Which Grib Lilith is just going to have to hang on a little bit more. It's a bit more of a sideways moment from the 115. The Mercedes wide sideways. I mean, that is one way to make it, wider on the track. Just make it the width of the track.
The old initial D idea. Good idea, Grim. Good idea.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it.
I mean, they can't pass if there's, if you are the width of the track.
Well, it's not really good for your tyres though. But maybe he's following like what his livery's supposed to be. Right.
Yeah, but for 6 minutes left to go. Yeah, who cares about tyres? You can make it last. You just gotta last, like what, couple more laps, or depending where the leader is. It's probably 3.
What we got now? No, where are they now? Sunset. So
Leader's about sunset.
yeah. So we're gonna do some. We're gonna and just give me that calculator, Jesse Lee. I'm gonna work this out.
Jesse
right,
Lee, yeah, because we don't
he's
have
not
the
giving me the
official
calculator,
Jesse
right?
Lee maps. We don't have the official
No.
Jesse Lee maps.
He's not giving me the calculator, right? So I'm gonna have to do this like mentally.
Oh, I thought that might have been a look from the 71 up the inside, but you can see. You can see how strong the Mercedes can be on the brakes. I mean, even though they thought they were going to dive up, and the Mercedes is just, you can brake so much later with that heavy front engine. It does inspire confidence on the brakes. A lot of weight over the front axle, and you can really pile it on.
I thought these things had anti-dive on them as well.
I believe the Mercedes does, yes, because it's modelled a bit funny in ACC, if I remember. It feels very strange through the steering wheel, but that is the anti-dive.
I was always told you don't trail brake in this car, unless I've been taught wrong. But I always thought I was told not to trail brake in this car because of the anti-dive. You're supposed to like brake, get it down to the speed you wanted for the corner, and then coast through the corner. I'm not really sure that's right. I'm not sure that's right.
It sounds about right. There are some mid-engines you don't want to overly trail brake as well, I think, because they get a bit unsettled. At least on some setups that I've ran, but those were back in the day of reminiscing about when I used to drive. Do you remember those days?
Right, 3 laps at the line, Ryan. I'm going to go with 3 laps at the line.
Phil is going for 3 laps at the line. No more bets, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, everyone else can bet, but I'm going to go with that with no money on it. So that shows you how confident I am. I'll bet Jazzy Lee's betting a packet of crisps.
What depends what flavour of crisps.
Yeah. What crisps are they, Jazzy Lee?
I was going to say, what crisps are we going for?
Hang on, listen to him. What, cheese and onion?
Oh, way.
That's not even worth it. Not even worth it, man.
See, to me, I'm a guy of kettle chips. And what's happened to the 740?
He must have gone no fuel.
Masatoshi Kaniko's had to pull in, and as if they arrived in out of a podium spot, they must have run out of fuel. So that's the 767. But yeah, 767 retains at 28. Callum Kerrigan is still there, but Adnan Pasina, who's they've been in the wars this race. The 903 up into P3 of the silver class because of the 740's blunder.
But to be fair, he has been having a quiet. Well, he's had a bit of a quiet race, hasn't he? Speed of people that haven't had a quiet race. We talked about it before, but I swear every time Grim's come out the pit lane, as you said, Ryan, he just looks in his rear view mirror. It's like, oh, come on! I just want a quiet stint or something. Yeah, there's just somebody there.
There was no quiet for Gribble this race. They were in it at the start. They were in the crazy battle in the middle, They briefly had one moment where they pitted early, and then that was it. Then we had the less. As Tyler Jason Lavalle's looking up hard up the inside of the 95. He's back on the charge. Is the 35 after the SG30 has dropped him all the way to the back of the pro class, trying to retain or trying to gain any points because of where they are in the championship. They need to any extra points will help, and this battle still raging on. Is the 71 going to look up the inside here? Potentially no. They're going to have to settle back in. But now if you've got a minute left to go, they've only got maybe
Definitely
2 laps.
We've definitely got this lap and the next one to go. That's it.
Yeah, so you've got 2 laps left if the 71 is going to want that P6.
Ooh.
Oh, there's contact.
No, it seems like the least ill-advised move ever, to be honest, trying to out aero a McLaren around the outside of a high-speed turn. Not really sure that was ever going to work in that car, Brian, but we'll see just how big this all-American speed brick. Yeah, there we go. It didn't even do anything there. But yeah,
I mean, McLaren was very, very settled. I will say that. To take a boop from what is basically a Sherman tank and to be unaffected.
I like that we're just calling the Mustang different things.
You see, I thought about it. I had to think. It's like, what's American? It's like Sherman.
What's the most American thing I can think of?
Yeah.
To be fair, calling it a Sherman tank, because I like that. Well done, Ryan. That's good.
So this will be the final lap will come down for these two, for the 71 and the 115. If Mo Plate is going to want this position, they're going to have to think about it on this lap, as the white flag will have dropped when the leader came by. The leader's all the way up at the top of the hill for the final dive down. But this battle is going to rage right up until the line. They're going to think about it. But no, just trying to fill the mirrors, trying to force Grimm off the line, trying to get anything. You can see how hard they're pushing, but how wide that Lamborghini's running. You just need that little bit more.
Oh, and we've come through sunset now. I must admit, these two are not. I'm just like looking at this between like covering my eyes through some of these turns. Like, I don't want to see like a weird send as we're just probably going to move to see De Jong just past the line. There's Messina just behind him. Winner of the race, Edson De Jong. A copybook performance from De Jong there. Even though it was kept honest by Tyler Jason Lavallee, who's still stuck behind Mike Redford for P9. But that's what you get when you go fast through the pit lane. As there's still a lot of things not settled yet. Ryan Wilson, Les Stevenson, Miguel Martin. Oh, Les, no! That's why you have traction control. Oh no!
Les Stevenson booted it. Thought that they had the position. Thought, if you're gonna have it, it's gonna be in these last 2 corners. Les tried it, and it was a sideways moment from the McLaren. And the 115 Grim Lilith does a fantastic job to keep that Lamborghini behind. They're not gonna outdrag to the line. It will be P6 overall for Grim Lilith, but a fantastic race for that.
Ooh.
As everyone sort of diving out of the way. And in the silver class, as you can see, coming up for the final time to cheater, it is Alan Asprey in the 767 for your winner in the silver class. A great race from this. Like I said, we had 3 Ferraris at one point, and then all of them kind of spaced out.
We're gonna move on to the slow driver now, Jesse. Come on, let's show us the driver who's going really slow. He's P2 in class, but he's slow apparently.
Yes, as Kevin Boss put it in chat, Callum, I'm slow here, Kerrigan. It takes P2 in that McLaren here at Kyalami. A great race overall from both classes. And here are your final standings, obviously pending any investigations post-race. It is De Jong takes overall in that 64, as he says, just a fantastic showing from that. Was kept very honest. But in the end, it was the 64's day. Joe Dorber didn't think he was going to get P2, but he did, kept his nose clean as well. Ted Edwards promoted into that podium spot in the other Mustang. P3 is nothing to sniff about. Miguel Martins, been in the wars, in the battles, comes out P4, just holding it over Les, who booted it maybe just a pinch too early. Grim Lilith, same as well. Being in the battles up and down, P6 over the 71. Aaron Jackson comes in P8. Mike Redford holds on to P9 over Lavalley, who had that SG30, and will round out your P10. And then, yeah, silver class, you got Astorbury in the 767. It takes the win over Callum Kerrigan. It did look very close there for a while for Callum in the McLaren, but Ferrari just pipping out. Adam Pacina in the 903 Porsche takes your final podium position, and as he says, they were all over the place, and not necessarily thought that they might get P3, but yeah, a very good race. Esperanto takes the P4. Masatoshi Kaneko, the 740, a blunder at the end, potentially with fuel, potentially with something else, drops them down. Reinhard is 6th, Bobbins is 7 in the 65, Seaver is 8th, Lawson is 9th, and Gomez did not finish the race, but they round out the top 10.
Yeah, pretty good race, though. Pretty good race, Ryan, wasn't it? Thoroughly entertaining for an hour's worth of racing. I must admit, I was a bit worried we'd be a bit what do you call it?
Lost?
You lost
No,
after
no,
the first. You lost. Yeah, I like lost. I like lost. That's a good word. Thank you, Ryan.
it's yeah,
After the first lap or something like that, pretty good. But yeah.
That definitely was not a race where we had nothing much to commentate about. But speaking of races and interviews, we've got P3, the man who started this race in what was it, P4? I think you came and you finished on the podium, Ted. How was it out there? It looked manic.
Sweaty, very very warm again today. But no, it was fun. I didn't think it would be P3, but with the drive-through that 35 got, or the stop and go that the 35 got, sort of moved me up one. But the battle with Dolber was pretty fun as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got stuck in a battle at one point and just could not shift them. And was you pitting early a kind of strategy to maybe get around Dolber, because he went for a long old time in that 777.
So yeah, the first pit wasn't really to deal with Dolber. It was just like, I need fuel now, so I'll jump in. And then he just kept going for like another 2 or 3 laps. And I was like, that's weird. Okay, sure. That's a different way around it. And then the second time was right. If he doesn't pit, I'll pit, and I just pitted a lap before I needed to. So that's how that went.
Yeah, so there you go from Ted Edwards in the Ford Mustang. How did it feel around here as well? Because I've not driven the Mustang, so I have to kind of gauge it off of the drivers.
Too easy. It's a handful at times, but it feels like an Aston, but it's got the grunt of like the Merc or whatever. It's quick really on that certain tracks. It can take curves really well. Not through the S's though. Some of them feels like there's a big old canyon in there, and it will bounce you out. But no, it's really stable. It's I'd say it's almost a beginner car, as long as you keep TC and TC6, and then get used to it, and then you can use TC5. But nah, it's pretty smooth.
And also, you can't take Cheetah, as I think a few people in this race found out the hard way.
Yeah, I've found out in practice that you touch it, you bounce, and you end up literally backwards facing everyone, which is not what you want to be doing in a race. So I try to stay as far away as I could from that, while trying to maintain my pace.
Yes, well, a great race from that. Phil, have you got any questions and/or for Ted Edwards here, our P3?
I think you asked the questions I was going to ask Ryan. Sadly, you took them off me, but that's okay. they got asked anyway, so it's fine. It's all good. Sorry.
Yes. Well, from a fantastically active and eventful race here at Kyalami, it's been a pleasure to broadcast this one, and we thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. We've got Monday Champ this week as well, and if you want to sign up for that, sign-ups are open on racerci.com. just kind of looking where we're actually going because I'm not even clued up on the.
Well,
on
we're
the
going.
Monday
We go
camp.
Monday, champ. We're going to Silverstone tomorrow.
Oh, well, there you go. Still,
Oh, tomorrow. Tomorrow. Hang on. Yeah, it is tomorrow. Technically, I'm right. It's tomorrow for me.
Phil has to get on his technicalities. But as another interviewee we've got here, Mike Redford.
Hello.
How was
Hi.
it out there for you?
Well, I mean, I missed the start, so that wasn't the best feeling.
I was gonna say, what happened? Did you just not ready up in time? We didn't notice.
Yeah.
I said maybe it's a strategy. Maybe it's a good look.
I put my pressures up for qualifying, and I realised a bit too late, and then I went into setup, fixed it, and then I had like 8 seconds left, and the game took so long to come out of the setup screen, I missed the button. So yeah, I was planning on pitting at the end of the first lap. That was going to be my strategy, but after that, I kind of just had to like trying my best to get through the silver pack without any trouble. Although I got stuck behind Kyalami, so I decided to just call it a day and get my first pit stop out of the way then.
Yeah, and then like you said, just trying to fight through. I see it right at the end as well. You came under pressure from the 35, who was very adamant to try and get by at sunset, but it was not to be.
It's very depressing when you do a personal best and the car behind you is still half a second quicker. So yeah, that was a good fight. I was a bit surprised when he went off at sunset, just because I didn't feel anything on my end, so I don't know if that was code related or somewhat, but it usually feels something, so I don't know. It caught me off guard a bit, so I thought, okay, I left space, so I'll just keep going. But all's well in it as well.
The McLaren is just that planted, apparently. And well, going up the field as well, we now got Ern de Jong, the winner of the race in the Pro and overall. And you were kept very, very honest by Lavalle the entire race, but in the end, you just walked away with it. How was it for you?
I don't know. It's crazy what's happening here. You know, I was surprised by how well I kept this Mustang behind because they are really strong on this track. I've also been practicing all the week for rain, just to realize that there's no rain.
Likewise.
Well, we like to throw you a curveball in Night Owl. It's always been the way.
Well, we had the man in here who can explain why there was no rain then.
Can I just say thank you to De Jong for doing that last pit stop when they did, because I was really not going to be very helpful in letting him through. I really did not want to be. I was really trying to push after Jackson at that time.
What do you mean? Are you saying you're going to ignore blue flags or something?
No, absolutely not. I'm just saying I'm just going to ignore them for a little while. The illegal amount, but not very, you know. Every racing drivers are selfish, okay? We all know that. Go on.
But have you got any plans for the rest of these series, Erton? Because I mean, you came in as a silver driver, and so far you're doing absolute great guns. I think our next track will be Zolder. How do you fancy your chances there?
I'm not sure. Depends on how well I do in practice, but I'm gonna worry about it once.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, you're very comfortably ahead, or should be very comfortably ahead now in the series. So it's all yours to lose, as the saying is go. But before we kind of wrap up, you want to shout out anybody you've got on the stream?
Not really. I'm not. I mean, I got a few rays. I got a few friends. I told some friends that I was racing today, but I don't know if they are watching or if they are already in bed because it's pretty late already. It's like 1 a.m. here in Germany, so I would assume that everyone is sleeping and not watching the stream.
I'm sure they can look back at it and see the very manic race that you had. But
Yeah.
De Jong, the winner of our race and the current championship leader, and apparently one-man band, everybody. Oh well, it's been a manic night of racing here, hasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, certainly has been a race. I'd say there's been a lot of interesting driving, to be honest. Some good battles. Some I haven't seen that many incidents today. Probably one or two incidents, but nothing too bad. And so we've been joined in the box by another driver. I'm hoping Miguel Martins can wake up. There we go. He's here now. Miguel, can you hear? You're live on RCI. Please do not swear. Can you hear us?
It'll be hard to ask. But, yeah.
But yeah,
Good to
Miguel.
see you again, Phil.
Hello. Yes. How are you? How was your race? We saw a bit of it.
It
how
was
it for
very
you?
manic.
Manic, yeah.
Manic start. Austin was right. This Audi it's hard to control.
Yes, I remember doing the event endurance racing here and thinking, yep, the Audi isn't the easiest to control, which is why when you're in that battle where it's like 4 cars deep and you're seeing the little twitches from the Audi, it looked very very nerve-wracking, but you kept it clean. And did you expect to come out that high by the end of the race?
Oh no, not at all. I got lucky because the guys in front of me were fighting. Les and Grim. They were slowing down Emo Plate and Malcolm. Got lucky on the pit stop, jumped Grim, managed to jump Emo as well. I just managed to stay behind Les. And then at the end, Les made a mistake out of Sheeta and just gave me the run into T1.
Yeah,
Miguel.
right at the,
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, right at the end, it looked like Les was still having a go, but put his foot down too hard.
Yeah, he was quick. Yeah, they were all quick. It was a pure, draw of the dice.
Well, have you
Right.
got? I was gonna say, have you got yours, Phil? Before we
I
before we
have
end?
one more question for Miguel,
One more.
if that's okay. So Miguel, we got 4 more races to go. Or 3 actually, I miscounted. Sorry, we got 3. Zolder, Bathurst and Nürburgring. You've already commented that your Audi is a handful to drive. Which of these tracks are you least looking forward to, and which one are you most looking forward to in your car?
Very much looking forward to Bathurst. Because it used to be great in the Audi. I haven't driven the Audi in over a year. That's why I picked it. So I
That's a
don't
good
know
thing.
how
You just driven
does.
it for about an hour now, so.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to see how it does for Bathurst. But yeah, Zolder will be tough. All those curves and slow corners, it's gonna be hard to control this mid-engine beast.
That's it from me. That's it from me, Ryan.
Yes, well, thank you for that. And anyone you want to quickly shout out, Miguel, before we wrap it up?
Not really. Just just keep watching the series, and hopefully more people sign up. It's great fun. It's great fun.
Well, there you go. From Miguel Martins, P4 overall from our Audi driver. And like I said, we want to thank everyone here for joining us tonight. It's been a fantastic night of racing. As we mentioned, next week we will be taking to Zolder, where the curbs are big and the risks are even bigger for the drivers if you want to come out on top of there. So hopefully you'll join us next time for that and for any other racing that we've got on RCI TV. As we says, Monday, champ. We've got the Wheelie Slow Sunday Grand Prix will be Silverstone, and just all of the, and I think as well, World Tour, next one is Imola for if you want the next kind of very big race that we're doing. So hopefully you will join us for that. And until then, from me and Phil and Jesse Lee behind the cameras, goodbye for now.